Welcome back, my Duelist friends. Casual Duelist here, and my camera's off center. So we'll just do that real quick, and let's get into today's deck. So this week's major deck is going to be like a zombie world control, and I'm opting to build this more cookie cutter-esque. Because again, I've always tried to say that my decks should only ever be used as a guideline and never as the definitive version of a deck. And I wanted to give you guys the room to actually play around with some of the ratios yourself and make some decisions and build from this. So this is a very cookie cutter build, so please bear with me. Real quick, we're going to start off with 3 copies of Doom King Ballardrock, probably one of the better boss monsters for this. We are going to use 3 copies Glow Up Bloom. Again, we're going to try to maximize our ability to get into this card as it's going to help us exponentially. We're going to run 3 copies of both Gozuki and Mezuki. They're both pretty cool, and once we get to talking about the effects, if you're not familiar with them, I think you'll agree. Next up will be Necro World Banshee. A lot of this comes from the structure deck where we played with Zombie World the second time around. And it's just because it made that deck just so much stronger, and this card is definitely one of the better ones. We are going to use 3 copies of Unizombie. Ultra Rare is, optional. You guys can play any version that you have. These just happen to be the ones that I have. And again, this is going to be one of our best starters for this deck, so that's cool. And then we just got a 6-pack of Hand Traps. Generically throwing in 3 Ash Blossoms for its usefulness, and of course 3 Effect Veilers for same reason. Both very cool. Moving on to our spells, we're going to have the single Called by the Grave. We are going to run 3 copies of Super Polymerization, because again, when we're changing the typing on the field, this is going to be catastrophic to the opponent. So it's worth it, and discarding a card in this deck is actually not a bad thing, as we can get a lot of our effects from the discard and extend our plays by being able to discard things like Mezuki. So that's very cool. Keeping along with that mindset, we went ahead and added in 3 copies of Twin Twisters. Again, back row is still not super there, but still important when you do see decks that are going to try to stall you, or you know that Solemn Strike or something silly is about to happen. Just go ahead, get the sillies out, and get those cards off the board. And then, of course, you got to have the field spell. You got to run 3 copies of Zombie World. If you're not running this at 3, that's a shame. Again, another thing that you could automatically mod right here is if you guys found a card that maybe you didn't already have in this list, you could also add a Terraforming just to up the consistency of seeing Zombie World. I see it enough at 3, so that is what it is. Moving over to the traps, we are going to run 3 copies of Impermanence. And again, I have a feeling Cyber Strike is going to give us commons, so I don't feel so bad putting this in here right now. And also, I went ahead and prepaid mine at my locals, so if your shop allows you to do that, it might be a good idea to lock those in now before those fly off the shelves, especially if this card's in there. And then, of course, you can't play Zombie World without playing the full combo lock and using 3 copies of Rivalry of Warlords. So that is awesome. That is 40 cards in the main deck. And again, feel free to change whatever you like. I've played this deck with Shiranui Solitaire in there. I've played this deck by actually maining in Foolish Burial. We have played with Jacobalan before. There are many other options that you guys can do. Do not feel limited to what you saw here today. Same thing with the extra deck. Now, unfortunately, my friend didn't have the copies to lend me, and my order didn't make it here in time. So this is actually supposed to be 3 copies of Dragon Necro Nether Soul Dragon, for the sole fact that he is any 2 zombies, and once we have Zombie World on field, this is a great way to consolidate and just rip our opponent's field apart. So right now I'm running 1. You guys could pick the other 2 cards to leave out. Usually when I run Hand Traps, the less effective they are, I tend to run them at 1. So one of the ones that you can book down to a single would be Earth Golem Agnister. This is great against Cybers, and again, links are a big deal right now. And the other one would be like Mud Dragon of the Swamp. Again, I just use these. These are good, generically good fusion trap monsters, so they're cool. I picked this up. I only did 1 trade this last week, so I didn't want to do a video for 1 card. Uh, but what makes this one so cool is we can actually tuner monsters, generate a tuner, but this one is also a zombie. So even if you are playing underneath your own zombie world, you'll still be able to super poly into this while you have other cards. So still a good play. Starving Venom Dragon, I went ahead and put this guy at 2. Again, 2 is usually where I put the most useful ones. With this deck being straight up changing the typing on the field, Dragon Necro needed to be at 3. Moving over to my links real quick, I am running the 1 Boral Sword. I am running 1 IP Masquerena. Again, you guys could trade her out. That's a $20 card that maybe you don't need in there. You get an extra Fusion Trap in or play something that you like. We run the Nightmare Package Engine, whichever. 1 Cerberus, 1 Phoenix, and 1 Unicorn. And then to round this out, we've got 2 copies Vampire Sucker. Because again, we're playing a bunch of zombies. You kind of want this one. So guys, I'd like to thank you all for stopping by. Whether or not you're new or a seasoned veteran coming here and listening to me stumble over my words. Seriously, thank you for coming by. I hope that you guys enjoyed the deck list. I hope that this is fun for you guys. And if you'd like to support the channel and you maybe haven't already, the easiest and best way to do that is considering to subscribe to the channel. Outside of that, maybe let your friends know. But most importantly, I want you guys all to have a great day. So class is dismissed if you already know all the card effects. If not, maybe keep watching and we'll learn you a thing or two when we'll start back in the main deck. So real quick, the first card we're going to talk about is Doom King Ballardrock. Ballardrock is kind of cool. He's kind of our big boss. He is 28 by 20. I believe he is 8 stars. So the effect is during the standby phase, if a face-up card is in the field zone and this card is in the graveyard, you can special summon this back in defense mode. You can only use this effect once per turn, so you can't summon 2 of them at the same time. You can only use this effect I already said that. Once per chain, when a zombie monster except Ballardrock activates its effect except the damage step, as a quick effect, you may apply one of the following effects, but not going to apply the same effect again this turn. And what are those effects? You can either negate the effect or banish a monster on the field or that's in the graveyard. So this is going to allow for some spot removal, or this is going to allow for additional negates and more stuns. So really, this deck is kind of a stun deck. Because there's a lot of being able to tell our opponent no. And since it's going to be a zombie effect that you're going to be able to get this off of, if it's your own effect, chances are you're going to go ahead and banish one of your opponent's cards. And if it's their effect due to Zombie World, you'll go ahead and negate the effect. Very simple. So again, maximize him and just about everybody else in the main deck at 3. The Glow Up Bloom, and this would be a good reason. Again, maybe you didn't have the IP Masquerena. You could run Link Karibo in here for this. If this card is sent to the graveyard, and again, it doesn't care from where, you can banish this from the graveyard. Add 1 level 5 or higher zombie monster from the deck to the hand. Or if you already have Zombie World in play, you can special summon that card instead. In either case, you're not special summoning monsters for the remainder of this turn except zombies. You can only use this effect once per turn. And this is a good way to, and usual way to develop into Ballardrock. So this is very cool. And again, if you had to nuke a normal summon and you didn't have an IP Masquerena, absolutely get a Link Karibo in there to get some one-star shenanigan, all right? Gozuki is kind of cool. He's a nice starter. During the main phase, you can send a zombie monster from the deck to the discard pile, so he is a Foolish Burial every turn. If this is sent to the graveyard, again, doesn't matter from where, you can banish 1 zombie from the graveyard, except same name. Special summon 1 zombie from your hand. So again, kind of a cool shenanigan, and you can drag other cards. So that's also very important. Plus, he looks cool, guys. I mean, let's face it. Then you got Mizuki, and again, this is going to be a guy that gets tossed into the discard an awful lot. You can banish this in the graveyard, target a zombie monster in the graveyard, and special summon it back. It does state your own graveyard, so this isn't going to be some weird Monster Reborn playing out of our opponent's discard pile, but instead being able to replay some of our own cards. Necro World Banshee says that Zombie World in the field zone cannot be cannot be destroyed by card effects, and neither player can target it with card effects. So this is essentially going to be, and I pulled this out to make this example, It's going to be Barricade Board Blocker for our field spell, which is why we didn't need a Barricade Board Blocker in this build, because we've already got 3. As a quick effect, you can banish this from the field or graveyard and activate 1 zombie world directly from the hand or deck. You can only use this effect of Banshee once per turn. Again, between the Unizombie and the Gozukis, we have 6 Foolish Burial effects. So again, I didn't see a need for the terraforming, but if you want to maybe get more flexible with what you're sending, then adding that terraforming might be handy. But if not, just play the 3 Banshees. It's pretty much the same play. Let's talk about Unizombie and why this is like one of the best. So you can target a face-up monster on the field, discard a card. If you do, increase the target's level by 1. You can target 1 face-up monster on the field. Monsters you control cannot attack for the rest of the turn except zombies. Not going to be an issue for you. And then also send 1 zombie monster from your deck to the discard pile. And if you do, increase the original target's level by 1. You can only use each effect once per turn, but we can use both of these effects in the same turn. So we can pitch 1 from the hand, and we can pitch 1 from the deck. And this is so useful in a deck that wants cards in the discard pile so we can banish them, or so we can get Baller Drock to special summon himself because we already have Zombie World and we don't need to rely on the Glow Up Bloom. There are so many good reasons to use this. And if you decided to add more synchro and maybe play away from the Super Poly as much and only play the Necro Dragons, then you'd be fine doing that. And again, this will be tuners right here. If I'm not mistaken, didn't we already have a tuner in here as well? Yeah, the Glow Up Blooms were tuners. And I know that our hand traps are all tuners. So it's not like there's a shortage of tuners for you guys. But this is just another way of going ahead and maximizing. We'd be able to send like Gozuki and Mizuki at the same time and do some crazy stuff. And again, for the hand traps, we've got the Ash Blossoms. We're here to stop interactions with the opponent's deck. Whether it's a add to hand, special summon, or send from deck to discard. And Effect Veiler here to stun a monster effect during the opponent's main phase. Again, the thing I like about Effect Veiler, it's not once per turn. It's basically once per copy, and it does negate for the entire turn. So if there's like effect 2, 3, or 4, you're also going to get all of those effects negated at the same time. So very good card, very good. Called by the Grave is going to go after the hand traps, target a monster in the opponent's graveyard, banish it, and if you do until the end of the next turn, the effects is negated, as well as the activated effects and the effects on the field of monsters with the same original name, which is why Konami put this to 1, and additionally why Crossout Designator is like $130 now. So that's pretty cool. Super Polymerization again. It's going to cost on activation 1 discard, but again, we have so many effects that want to be in the discard pile, it's not bad. The only thing is we can't use some of them. Like the best card to throw here is Mizuki. Just because we can choose when to use this effect. It doesn't have to be immediate. Because Super Polymerization will block anything that is activating in response. And that is for both players, not just the opponent. But when we do this, we're going to fusion summon a fusion monster using monsters from either side of the field as fusion material. And when we're dealing with the zombie world, when we're dealing against dark decks, when our opponent is playing just Cyburst and doing like a Link build, Super Polymerization is going to come in very clutch, and we do want to see it as often as possible. Twin Twisters, again, we're going to discard a card to activate this. This time we get to target up to 2 spell traps on the field, and this would be anything, field spells, face downs, pendulum scales. It runs a whole gamut. And again, because this one doesn't say that it can't be responded to, you can play a little more freely with other effects and start compounding them and building your own chains. So again, Twin Twisters, we maximized it just to see it. Zombie World, again, very much a soft lock on its own. All monsters on the field and graveyards become zombie monsters, and neither player contributes summon monsters except zombie monsters, which isn't going to help you so much unless you're playing like Monarchs or True Draco, I think it was. There's not that many tribute-based decks going on right now. There's a lot of linking and a lot of specialing and a lot of looping. So we want to combine this with Rivalry to create the hard lock. We do have the Impermanence on turn 0. we'll be able to activate this as long as we don't control any cards. The effect here is target a face-up monster the opponent controls, negate the effects until the end of the turn. If it was on the field when you activated this, and is still on the field at resolution, for the rest of this turn, all other spell trap effects in the column are negated. And if you, again, like control no cards, you can activate this from the hand, which makes this a turn 0 trap, hand trap. And again, hopefully we're going to get this in the Cyber Strike, because it would be a real shame if we didn't. I think it's been reprinted enough to where that should be possible. And then, of course, we've got Rivalry Warlords. All my copies are old, so they don't have the easier text to understand. But what it basically boils down to is when this trap is activated, both players look at their side of the field, choose a monster type from what they have, and that's the only monster type they're going to be, they choose one, and that's all they can control. So they'll have to send the cards from the field to the discard if they control multiple types after choosing the one type that they're going to play. We're taking the choice away from them. We're making it zombies. And because of that, and because they're not going to be allowed to play any other type of monster other than that type, unless you're going zombie v zombies, like in a weird mirror match with like against maybe an Eldritch control, chances are you're going to stop them from being able to play anything else. And I know that I like to bully Dragon Links because like it's dead because of the ban list, but this would have been a great open move. If Dragon Link went second, they go into their summon, you just immediately flip this, and then they can't link because the way the rivalry works, they're currently controlling a zombie. So even though they would get rid of the card to only control one type of card, the type of card they're attempting to play does not match and therefore cannot happen. So it's a little long-winded. I did do a card of the week once where I did that goes and match, and there can be only one, so maybe check that one out. Wasn't too bad. Let's get into the extra deck so that we can get you guys out of here for the day. So Dragon Negro Nether Soul Dragon is any 2 zombies. Now we do have some text, and this text does matter. Must first be fusion summoned. Monsters cannot be destroyed by battle with this card. At the end of the damage step, if this battles a monster that has an original level, that monster's attack becomes 0. Also, if that monster is still face up on the field, special summon 1 Dark Soul token, which is a zombie dark questionable level attack, 0 defense. When summoned, its level and attack become equal to the original card and level and attack of the monster, and you can only control one of these at a time. So this allows us to really just beat up on our opponent's card and start generating a lot of zombies, which is kind of cool. Again, we can't play this because it is a dragon if we already have another monster on the field. So you do have to wait if you already have Rivalry up. If you do not already have Rivalry up, it is fine when this guy gets to the field. He will be a zombie, and you can always flip it afterward. Just be mindful of that when playing this. I don't want you guys to get the wrong idea. Get the card, try to play the card, your opponent calls you out on it. I don't want that to happen. Again, this would have been a 3 had my order come in. So right now I sucked up the extra 2 copies within Mud Dragon and Earth Golem. So Earth Golem is a Cybers plus a Link. So again, this is like Salamangrates and everything else. After this is Fusion Summoned, you take no damage for the rest of this turn. If this card attacks a monster that was special summoned from the extra deck, and this will include Pendulum monsters that have been to the top of the extra deck. This card gains attack equal to its original attack during the damage step only. When this card is destroyed by battle, you can target 1 Cybers in your graveyard except Earth Golem. Special summon it back. Use this effect only once per turn. Generally, we're just using it for a smash and grab and the no damage for the turn. So that's cool. Mud Dragon of the Swamp, 2 monsters, same attribute, different types. Decks like Light Sworn, stuff like that. Excuse me. The opponent cannot target this attack or monsters on the field with the same attribute as this card. With card attacks, and then once per turn as a quick effect, you can declare 1 attribute. This card becomes that attribute until the end of the turn. Again, it's either going to be Dark or Earth most of the time while we're playing this, just to go ahead and protect our other cards. Sea Monster Theseus, you guys can absolutely toss this one out. I just wanted to give this card a little shine because I think it's good. It is for any 2 tuners. It does happen to retain zombie typing, so you can play this while you do have the Rivalry Zombie World going up. And there are a ton of decks right now that do use Synchro. So it's not totally unlikely that you won't see this in my extra deck. So that's pretty cool. And then the last fusion I'm using is 2 copies Venom Fusion. Again, this guy's going to be any 2 dark attributes, except tokens, which is fine. When this is fusion summoned, you can make this gain attack equal to 1 opponent's special summon monster until the end of the turn, so it gets a huge bonus from its already 2,800 points, and this allows it to jump over monsters. Once per turn, you can target a level 5 or higher monster the opponent controls, and until the end of this turn, this card's name becomes that card's name. Replace this effect with that monster's original effects. And if this card that was fusion summoned is destroyed, you can destroy all of your opponent's special summoned monsters. So even if they do out your fusion dragon, they are going to lose their entire special summoned board. We are going to be able to steal effects. One of my favorite things to do with this, obviously this does not happen a lot because people don't play it a lot. If you go up against like Blackluster Soldier Envoy at the beginning, you get a sweet 3,000 point power up going up to 5,800. Then you get to use Blackluster Soldier's name and effects, which means you could go for the double swing on monsters. And then if it does get popped, it does take the board with it. So it is pretty cool. Going into the links, and we'll just sort of speed up a little bit. Boral's Sword does a lot of stuff. Mostly he's going to be your budget access code talker. He's going to allow you to strike over things. That's why he's here. IP Masquerena, just because I like it, and it helps me in my link builds. And it allows us to link during the opponent's turn. Additionally, the link monster that uses this as material cannot be destroyed by opponent card effects, which is kind of brilliant. We are going to use the Nightmares, and again, the discard effects here can be responded to, so we can freely extend our plays while getting these effects, which would be to discard and destroy special summon monster, destroy spell trap, or place card from opponent's side back into deck. And then the best tech character in this deck is going to be the Vampire Sucker. And this one's really cool, actually. So this is any 2 zombie monsters. And if you would tribute a monsters for a tribute summon, you could tribute a zombie monster or monsters your opponent controls. Even though you do not control them, you can only use each of the following effects once per turn. Now, again, the only one that we can really do this with would be Balladrock. This is something I like to do with Jack of Land. So again, if you guys are just looking for other ways to play this cookie cutter build, that would be another good way. The first effect here is target a monster in the opponent's graveyard, special summon it to their side of the field in defense, but it becomes a zombie monster, which again could allow us to lock them with the Rivalry of Warlords without Zombie World. Or if a zombie monster is special summoned from either graveyard, draw 1 card. So again, generally we're going to go ahead and special summon their card from their discard pile and then draw the card. And then we can just perform the lock, which is kind of amazing. So I do hope that you guys enjoyed this. I am going to do test hands this time tomorrow, which means I'll be taping them after this. So I do apologize if my throat is still a little sore and maybe I'm a little tired. It's getting pretty late. So I just want to make sure that I get this done for you guys. I really appreciate you guys stopping by. And seriously, have a great day. And I'll see you guys on the next video, all right? Later.